皆さん、英語のそーたです。
And I'm Reilly.
Hey Riley, we haven't done any all English episodes for a while, so we'll have to get back on that. And I was kind of planning to have a faster one, which means you speak faster. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good to me. I think actually recently I have been talking a little bit faster in them, but I can try to go full speed, so to speak.
Because I think our listeners' English skills are improving and getting better and better. So sometimes, they might want to hear you or listen to you talking faster. So let's do it. And also, do you have... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, sometimes the reason that I don't talk so fast on those is just because I don't write a script, right? Daihon nashi. So sometimes usually I write like ideas for what I'll talk about, but sometimes I have to pause to think how I'm going to connect to the next thing or something like that. So sometimes I talk slow just because I'm not sure what to say, I guess.
Okay.
But
yeah, then if you want to, you can have a script this time. But it's up to you though. はい、皆さん、オールイングリッシュエピソードを最近更新してなかったんですけど、一応理由としては年末年始、やはり最後はちゃんと2人でありがとうございましたとお伝えして、で、年始も順番的にはライリーのオールイングリッシュエピソードから始まる順番だったんですけど、やはり年が始まる時も2人でちゃんと挨拶をしてからの方がいいなと思って、4週分ぐらいたまたまオールイングリッシュが更新できてないんですけど、次がまたオールイングリッシュ、ライリーだけのオールイングリッシュになりますので、そちらを楽しみにしておいていただければと思います。で、一つ僕の中で考えていたのが、今年、たまにとかになるかもですけど、ライリーにすごく早く話してもらうオールイングリッシュエピソードを作ってみると、いつもとちょっと違ったエピソード作りができるかなと思ったのと、皆さんの英語力もリスニング歴が長くなるにつれて上がってこられてるかなと思うので、ちょっとそういう視点で次のエピソードは作ってみようかなと思ってますので、また感想など聞かせていただけたらなと思います。Okay, Riley, are you ready?
Yep.
そうたと
Reillyの
台本なし英会話レッスン
Episode 262.
All right, what is the topic for episode 262, Riley?
Yeah, it's balding and graying hair.
はい、今回のお題は、薄毛と白髪への価値観、アメリカ vs 日本です。こちらは、あんこさんからインスタグラム英語のソータの方に、リクエストをいただいてましたので、読ませていただきます。ソータさん、ライリーさん、こんばんは。毎週楽しく拝聴させていただいています。そしていつも単語や文法にも大変役に立っています。ありがとうございます。こちらこそご視聴ありがとうございます。質問があるのですが、外国の方で髪の毛がない、いわゆるハゲてしまっている方は、カツラをかぶったり、育毛剤を使ったりしているのでしょうか？私は皆さんありのままの自分を受け入れているように感じます。また、薄毛の人は周りからそのことについていじられたりしても大丈夫なのでしょうか？あと、髪の毛をヘアカラーで変えたり、白髪染めをしたりするという文化はあるのでしょうか？疑問に思ったので質問させていただきました。とのことです。Yeah, I'm also really curious about this topic because I'm getting older and maybe gradually, I'll get bald and maybe I'm experiencing that, I guess. And her question is that do Americans really care about that? Like losing hair and having gray hair, especially in Japan, I think we do care about, the change. And then sometimes people, dye hair. And recently, the medical situation is also improving. So, people can get medications for that as well. So, yeah, let's compare in terms of losing hair and having gray hair this time.
Yeah.
Yes. America versus Japan, I mean.
Right. Yeah, so obviously maybe not obviously to everyone. I shouldn't assume that everyone has seen me, but I'm bald or nearly bald.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I don't know. It was something that I guess I could say struggled with from when I was younger. Like when I first started to go bald or started noticing I was going bald was probably honestly like the end of high school. I could tell that I was starting to like a little bit the my hairline was starting to kind of go backwards. And then through college it was kind of slow, and then after a few years in Japan, maybe I don't know how long ago it was, 2 years ago or so,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to shave my head to kind of stop trying to pretend more or less that I had hair and then
Mm-hmm.
shave it off. Or yeah. Um, and I think that in general, that's kind of common. Like, how can I say? People kind of try to hide it. Like I would have my old hairstyle was kind of like I would have my hair swept over one side of my forehead to kind of make it look to like cover up my hairline kind of. I mean, it wasn't like it's hard to describe, but basically I had that hairstyle for a long time, and then I just kept it up because it seemed to cover my forehead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think a lot of people do something like that. Obviously, people wear hats and stuff like that a lot when they're balding. But then uh, eventually, I think a lot of people in America kind of just accept that they're bald or nearly bald, and yeah, some people shave their head, or some people kind of live with their hair balding. I think how can I describe that? I mean, maybe you know the look, like somebody who has not long hair, but like some hair on their head, but they don't have any hair like at the back of their head or at the two sides of the front of their head or something, and they just kind of that's their hairstyle now. You know what I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about?
Mm-hmm.
And so my dad had that hair for like a long time. He would his hair would be kind of not long, but like long enough to cut with scissors rather than with a buzzer.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had that hair for a long time, and it's kind of I don't know. I think that I would rather be like bald, like shave my head, than have that kind of haircut, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Yeah, so you experienced that kind of at the early age. Then, at the time, first, you were not really ready for that, or you couldn't accept it.
Yeah, that's fair. Like I think in like when I first noticed it in like late high school, I was probably like, oh, like maybe that just happens. It kind of just like the hairline is going back a little bit. Maybe that's just normal. And then like in college, it was doing it a little bit more. And I was like, oh no, I'm definitely like balding, getting bald or going bald, people say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then yeah, after maybe like 4 or 5 years in Japan, I decided, oh, it's okay. Like I can just shave my head. I don't need to try to keep my hair, if that makes sense.
Mm. I think in that way, that could be one of the differences. Because in Japan, I think you've seen some, old guys who are nearly bald, completely bald, but still, they don't want to shave their head. And then they have, it's hard to describe, but they have some hair, but mm, they haven't accepted it yet. So it looks sometimes weird. In Japan,
Yeah, yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. The most extreme version of that. Do you know what a comb over is? Have you heard that term before?
Sorry, calm, calm
Comb
over.
over, yeah, comb over.
Calm is that calm.
Comb is COMB,
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
the
In Japanese, we say barcode.
really
It looks like
barcode.
yeah, like is it English barcode?
Barcode, yeah, that's like the thing on a package or a product. Yeah, yeah.
Barcode. Yeah, but in English what was that? Comb overhead?
Comb over, yeah, comb
うん、
over.
うん、うん、うん。
When they have like they grow one side kind of long and then they like brush it over the top of the bald part of their head to make
う
it
ん、
look like they have hair.
うん。And it looks like a comb. That's why you
No,
call it.
no, it's called a comb over because they use a comb to brush it or
ああ、
comb it
う
over their
ん。
head.
I thought,
Um,
it looks like a comb, like barcode, but, calming. I understand.
yeah, combing, yeah.
うん、
But I think that's not so common in America anymore because it's like I don't know, it's like a joke, right? It's really I don't know. It's part of the culture that like a comb over, everyone thinks that a comb over looks bad.
うん、うん、うん。
Um, but I've seen it more in Japan than I ever saw it in the United States. I think maybe it doesn't have the same as much of a bad meaning or something in Japan. I don't know, but
That's why, we see more people like that.
I think so.
うん、う
Yeah.
ん、うん。Yes, I think in that way, Americans are kind of accepting or have accepted it already, but in Japan, it hasn't happened yet, I guess. That's why, the person who gave us this request also said, it seems like they accepted it.
Right.
うん、うん。なるほど。
Um.
一回、
Oh, you
can I
wanna?
translate it? う
Yeah.
ん。
Go ahead. Yeah.
はい。一回ちょっと訳させてほしいなと思うんですけど、ちょっと長めに英語の会話を取りましたが、まずテーマになってくる bold の、リストアップラインにしておいてもらおうと思うんですけど、
Yeah.
get bold。あるいは、you said go bold. Both are
Yeah.
fine.
Probably. Both are fine. I think people would probably say go bald more often, actually.
Okay. Go bold. 結構 go って go なんとかで go bad だったり、悪い状態になるときに結構使われたりする言葉なんですけど、go プラスなんとかでその状態になる。つまり、bald 自体がハゲた状態っていう、頭が薄毛になった状態っていう形容詞なので、go プラスその単語で、いわば、ハゲる。薄毛になる。という言い方ですね。ちょっとハゲるって言い方がね、ちょっと、ストレートすぎるので、薄毛とも言いますが、言葉としては日本語でも言うハゲてしまってとかっていう時に、そういう使い方をしますね。あるいは get プラス、その形でも OK ですけど、どちらかというと go の方がよく聞くことは多いと今、ライリが言ってくれてましたね。で、まず結論から言うと、全部話を聞いてみると、アメリカの方が、やっぱり薄毛になることに対してのその捉え方も受け入れて、もう潔く頭を shave head って言ってましたが、頭を剃るっていう、これもタイピングですね。シェイブヘッドすると。まずなんか僕、ここが日本とアメリカで大きな違いかなと思ったんですね。日本って、ちょっとバーコードヘアっていう風なワードも出てましたけど、英語だと、come over、head。櫛で、シュッて解いて、バーコードみたいな感じになっちゃう。そこから、僕最初、櫛みたいに見えるから、バーコードも櫛みたいに見えるじゃないですか。櫛みたいに見えるから、calm hair っていうのかなと思ったらそうじゃなくて、動詞の方で、頭で左から右にシュッて、櫛で解いて出来上がる髪の毛で、英語ではそういうみたいですね。日本語で言うバーコードヘアみたいな感じですけど、結構アメリカとか海外、特にアメリカではそこになる、そのバーコードヘアとかコームオーバーヘッドになってる方がちょっと恥ずかしい感じがあるので、潔く刈ってしまう、剃ってしまうっていう方が多いと。そういう意味で今回リクエストくださってた方が、彼らはすごい受け入れてありのままを受け入れてる感じがするって、僕たちもそうですし、リクエストくださった方も感じられた要因なんだろうなと。反対に髪を無駄にちょっと、変に残すくらいであればもう剃ってしまった方がいいっていう感覚なんだろうなって聞いてて思いました。で、ライリーのお話でしたけど、ハイスクール、高校の終わりぐらいから、もう、ヘアラインって言ってましたね。これもタイピングお願いします。あとは go backwards、後ろに行く。生え際ですよね、ヘアライン。こういう単語ってね、 いざ使おうとなると出てこなかったりすると思うので、今日ね、覚えていただければと思うんですけど、ヘアラインがこうバックワード、生え際がどんどん後ろに後退していくのを経験したのが高校ぐらいだったと。結構早い段階ですよね。で、やっぱ、男の人は、やっぱり何かしらどっかのタイミングで絶対それは経験してくると思うんですよね。女性もそうだとは思うんですけど、男性の方が、こう、髪がやっぱりどんどんなくなっていく。女性の方が細くなっていくこととか、まあ、あるいはね、薄毛になっていくこともあると思うんですけど、男性ってやっぱみんな経験すると思うんですよね。僕もやっぱ21、2ぐらいから、あれ、ちょっと生え際が薄くなってきたかもっていうのは、実は経験したりしました。それがまあ、ライリーの場合は、at the early age って言ってましたけど、早い段階であったと。で、ライリーがその時に、最初はこう、隠すようにしたりしてたけれども、もうそれをやめて、今はもう、シェイブしてるっていうのが、まあ、ここまでの大体のお話でしたね。なので、まずここまでまとめると、違いとしては、そうなった時にどう対処するかっていう捉え方として、やっぱ日米で、アメリカはもう沿ってしまう。日本はちょっとやっぱまだ残したりするっていう感じですよね。確かに、not never, but I haven't seen Americans or Western people having, you know, some amount of hair, like comb over head people. I don't see them.
Um, yeah, I think they're pretty rare. People don't really have comb overs anymore, but um, people will still do the kind of like I don't know what you call it. People might call it a halo. That might be an expression
Halo.
where where like the part of I don't maybe that's just me making that up. I'm not sure people actually say that, but that means like the what I mean to say is the kind of top of the head has no hair, but like the sides and the back still have hair. So
Mm,
they grow hair kind of long, maybe like
mm,
1 or 2 centimeters around their head, but like on the
mm,
top of their head, there's nothing.
mm. And
You
halo
know,
means that, shining meaning.
yeah, the kind of
Oh,
circle on
okay,
it, like an
okay.
angel's head.
うんうんうん。
But
Yeah.
I looked it up and I don't think anybody else said that, so maybe I made that up.
Yes. メイクアップでこう作り上げるっていう、まあ、タイピングメイクアップと、あと、Halo っていうのは、こう、ビヨンセの曲でもありますよね。Halo, Halo っていう曲あると思うん
Oh
ですけ
yeah,
ど、
yeah.
そう、こう光ってるっていう。つまり、こう、中心だけ、髪の毛はなくて、エンジェルみたいな、天使の輪みたいな感じになってしまってる、ああいう人もあんまり、You said, it's kind of rare to see those people.
That one's not as rare as a comb over. That the people, especially older men, I think do that
ああ、なる
somewhat.
ほどね。
Yeah.
そっかそっか。まだ、その、コームオーバー、バーコードのようなスタイルほどは、まだその、天使の、ちょっと難しいな、表現が。なんて言ったらいいかわからない。そう、バーコード言ったり、天使の輪言ったり、そう、まだ天使の輪の方が多いっていうお話でしたね。うん。でも、なんか確かにあんまり見ないよなと思いました。その、海外の方で、結構こう、バーコードとか、バーコードっていうか、なんか、もう潔く勝ってしまってる人の方が多いなと思います。Like, compared to Japan, I feel like Americans shave their head, more than Japanese. So,
Mm, that's probably true. Yeah.
うんうんうん。So in your case, you sometimes feel it's weird to see those people who have comb over heads in Japan more often,
Uh, yeah.
honestly. うん。
I don't know if it's yeah. I guess a comb over is weird. The other kinds are not as weird, but they're um. But I would say yeah, it's more common in Japan for men to kind of still grow
う
their
ん。
hair even if they don't have very much.
うんうんうん。なるほどね。そっか、やっぱ外国の方から見ると、その、ね、ちょっと残してるっていうのが反対に違和感に、まあ、それが変っていうわけではないですけど、違和感には感じると。自分だったらシェイブするなって思うっていうことですよね。ここまでがまずちょっとそのボールドに関しての、回答かなと。で、次。So next, I want to talk about hair wig. Like
Yeah.
in your case or in America, do you guys, have that kind of solution? Is it common?
Um, I would say no, it's not common. I
Mm,
think men almost never wear a wig. There's a term for like a men's wig. It's called a toupee. I think it's a French word.
Oh.
But like, yeah, toupees are pretty rare, and if you do see one, they usually look bad, and people will comment on it and say, that looks bad or something like that. But women, maybe if women ever have trouble like losing their hair, it's more common for women to wear a wig. Especially like black women will wear wigs. I'm not sure. That's probably not because they're losing their hair, but just because it's a way to have a different hairstyle, I think.
確かに。あんまり、まあ日本でもそこまでは見ないかもしれない。You said toupee?
Yeah, toupee.
Oh, it's like French.
Okay.
なるほど。フランス語から来てるみたいですけど、男性のカツラを、ごめんなさい、僕、ちょっとスペルはわかんないですけど、toupee っていうみたいですね。まあでも、ウィッグでもいいと思いますけど、日本語と同じね。まず次は、そのウィッグ、カツラをかぶったりするっていうところ、植毛も含め、日本でもね、結構増えてきてると思いますし、実際されてる方も多いんじゃないかなと思うんですけど、アメリカではそんな男性がそこをするっていうのはあんまりコモンじゃないと。女性の場合はあるかもしれないし、アフリカ系の方だと違うヘアスタイルのためにそもそもそうやって、ね、ウィッグつけたりする習慣もあるしっていうことでしたよね。How about like, treatment, medical treatment, medications or using some...
Yeah, that's pretty popular.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a couple. I'm not too sure. I've never used any medication. I think my dad used to. But like, there's one that you put on your head. I think that one is called like Rogaine or something like that, I think. I think that's what Rogaine is, at least. There is something called Rogaine, but I'm not sure exactly what you do with it. But I think it's like a kind of almost like an oil or something that you kind of drip onto your head, like, with the little drippers. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And then there's another one, I think, that you take a pill for. I think that's called finasteride. That's like the medicine's name or the drug's name. There might be another one, I forget though. And recently, like, there's been a lot of ads for stuff like that. I think maybe recently they became available on the generic market, meaning like, not brand name. So now there's a bunch of companies that sell them for like cheaper, and they advertise on like podcasts and YouTube and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And podcasts on YouTube. Like podcasters, you mean YouTubers as well.
Yeah, they will have that advertisements for that company. I think the famous one is called, I think it's called Hims, like HIMS. I mean, yeah, probably can't get it in Japan, so maybe no point in saying it. Also, they're not paying us, so maybe I shouldn't do advertisements.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, whatever.
But how about you? Like, do you want to try them?
No, I'm not really. No, I don't really care, honestly. Like I'm fine with my hair being, with being bald, basically. Like I don't mind how it looks, honestly. And also I think that maybe if I had done it when I was like in high school or in college, it would have been better, because I think most of the time those kinds of medicines like work to stop your hair falling out, but they don't grow it back. Like if you already lost the hair, you're not going to grow it back from taking that medicine.
Yeah, that's suggestion I wanted to give, everybody in this episode, because I'm also trying to be careful, if I want to start that kind of treatment, we should do it before, our hair falls out completely. So yeah, that's what you meant, right?
Yeah, like yeah, if you're worried about losing your hair, or if you think you might be beginning to lose your hair, I think that is the time to start taking medicine rather than after you've already gone bald. But if you don't care, then don't do anything.
So in that way, like, I want to compare again, like in Japan and in America, can you find any difference? For example, Americans don't really care that much more than Japanese.
Um, I think Americans still care, but I think maybe being bald is more of like an acceptable hairstyle in America. Like, so maybe some people just decide to become bald. Like maybe, there's a few famous actors that were bald basically, or had the kind of like shaved head look, like
Die Hard.
yeah, right. Bruce Willis or Jason Statham. And there's a few more. Those are probably the two most famous ones. But yeah, so maybe because of people like that, it's kind of acceptable to be bald.
Yeah, they look cool. So maybe they give us a good influence. They, yeah, they give us good influence. Then some people, can decide not to take those treatments. But like, for example, your friends are doing that, for example, like take pills, or do you know some of them?
I think one or two of them do. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have like, let's see if I can think. I have like one other friend who is like bald like me. And he shaves his head. And then I have another friend who is not so bald, but he is losing his hair. And I think he might take medicine. I'm not sure. And then I have another friend who is definitely losing his hair, or maybe has mostly lost his hair, but he almost has the comb over. It's not so bad yet, but it's not great, I think. But he lives in Japan, so I think living in Japan, people don't think it looks so bad, but maybe if he lived in the United States, people would tell him, "Hey, you should just shave your head, man." Like,
なるほどね。なるほど。そうか、友達の間でも、もう絶対剃った方がいいよってね、言うぐらいやっぱ日本とアメリカではそこ違うんでしょうね。やっぱりバーコードみたいになってると剃った方がいいってやっぱ思うと。OK、何個か表現ですけど、drip、こうね、オイルとかを垂らしたりっていう時に出てた drip。あとは、髪の毛がね、例えば動物の毛が抜けるとかっていう時も使えると思うんですけど、fall out、こう落ちて抜けちゃうっていう。
Oh, yeah.
ここら辺をタイピングしておいてもらえたらなと思うんですけど、次、そういう治療を受けるのかっていうところで、全部聞いてみると、やっぱ、アメリカでも治療に関しては受ける人は受けると。でも、ブルース・ウィルスさんとかのような、こうね、似合ってる、頭をシェイブした感じでも似合ってる人たちの影響もあってか、結構シェイブして、もうありのままの自分っていうので受け入れてる人たちはアメリカの方が多そうっていう話でしたよね。確かに僕もそう思います。で、実際にライリーの周りでも、そういう薬飲んだりとか、トリートメント受けてる人がいるかっていうと、一人ぐらいっていう感じだったので、そんなにみんながね、やるっていう感じ、その処置に関してはないんだろうなと。そうで、僕、やっぱりこの、エピソードは男性にとってすごく響くテーマだと思うんですよね。どうしてもやっぱり、ね、こう、男性ホルモンの影響で、どうしてもやっぱ生え際とかって後退してきたり、髪の毛なくなってきたりする中で、何かためになる情報を入れられたらなと思ったんですけど、僕もすごく思うのが、こう、髪の毛が抜けてしまう前に、処置を受けるのであれば受けた方が絶対いいと思うんですよね。で、実は僕も20、何ぼだったかな ?2、3ぐらいの時に、ちょっとやばいかもと思って、全然、髪の毛自体はまだいっぱいあるんですけど、美容師さんとかにも髪の毛多すぎますよって言われるぐらい髪の毛の量は多いんですけど、自分的に生え際がこう上がってくるのが嫌と思って、実は病院に行ったことがあって、で、薬を予防のために飲もうと思って、確かザガーロっていう薬なんですけど、一時、毎月1万ぐらいかかるんですよ、あれね。今はだいぶライリーが言ってたようにジェネリックとかも出てるんですけど、もう高くてちょっときついなとも思ったんですけど、ちょっと飲んでみようと思って数ヶ月飲んでた時期もあるんですね。でも、やっぱ心筋梗塞になりやすい、こう、血流が多分良くなるのかな。血圧の病気になりやすかったりとか、僕、ちょっとこう、僕の場合、左胸がちょっと痛くなったりすることがあって、 ちょっと飲んでやめたんですよね。で、確かに飲んでるときは、そんなに進行しない感じかなって、予防できてるかなって思ったんですけど、もう数年以上僕全く飲んでないので、やっぱりちょっとずつ抜けてる量っていうのは増えてるかなと思うんですよね。なので、ここからまた飲む飲まないは、またちょっと考えないとなとは思ってるんですけど、今のところまあ髪の毛も多いのでいいかなと思ってるんですけど、つまり皆さんにお伝えしたいことが、男性のテーマとして、まあ女性もそうだと思うんですけど、早めに治療はした方がいいと思うんですよね。悩んでる方もしいらっしゃったら。で、僕もやっぱ抜けてしまったところはもう戻らないなって思うんですけど、やっぱり予防するという意味ではその薬ちょっと効いてたなと思うので、ちょっと皆さんに共有できたらなと思います。So, I think this episode should be a useful one for somebody who is thinking about, getting bold or, struggling with that kind of disease. Because recently we say it's a disease. So we can go to a hospital before our hair completely, falls off, as we said, as you said. And also, actually, I have, when I was maybe 22 or something, for, I forgot the word, precaution, no, for prevention, I, decided to take a pill called Zagaro. Do you know Zagar? I don't know how to call it in English.
No, usually like drug names are different in English and Japanese actually,
Oh, really?
but some kind of hair loss or hair loss prevention drug.
Yeah, yeah. Then, in my case, I stopped doing that because, I was a bit worried about the side effect because, maybe it affects our blood pressure. And in my case, my left chest hurt at that time, so I stopped doing that. But I realized that it worked because it was not, going bad. But once I stopped doing that, a little bit, gradually, little by little, my headline, started to go backward again. So
Mm.
what I wanted to say was that if people who are listening to this want to stop, your hair from going bald, we should, see a doctor at the early point, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
うんうんうん。
sure.
そうそ
But
う。
there are, yeah, obviously talk to a doctor about side effects. But yeah, a lot of these drugs for losing hair do have somewhat severe, somewhat serious side effects, I think.
Oh, really?
I know a lot of my friends who took it, well, not a lot, I don't have that many, but a few of my friends who took it said that it affected their mood a lot. Like yeah, which is when they took the ones that are pills, like the ones that you just put on your head, I don't think have that many side effects as far as I know, but the ones that are pills, I think have some more serious side effects.
うん。
But
Yeah,
again, yeah.
it affects our hormone. So, in the case of man, I think it affects our, erection problem.
Oh, it can, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we have to be careful. うん。確かにね。ちょっとまあ医学的な単語として、effect、こう影響を与える、副作用は side effect、ここら辺全部タイピングお願いしようかなと思うんですけど、affect mood、こう気分が飲んだら下がっちゃったりするっていうのもありましたし、erection っていうのは勃起障害ですよね。とかも、飲んでる場合に起きたりするっていう、結構男性にとっては、いろいろね、危険というか、考えないといけないサイドエフェクトも結構あるなと思うので、なので僕の場合胸が痛いっていうだけだったんですけど、やめたのもあったんですが、そう、結構昔僕、だいぶ早い段階からインビザラインっていう歯の矯正、まだ全然日本では、浸透してない時に、だいぶ前に僕やり始めて、それをポッドキャストでシェアして、最近、やっと日本でもインビザラインが広がってきて、ソータさん昔言ってたやつを最近始めましたとかっていうコメントも増えてきてるんですよね。で、僕結構早い段階から、なんか、好奇心旺盛なので、やってみようとか、これ興味あるって思うものを結構最新で取り入れるタイプなので、健康のためとかも含め、結構このザガーロの話とかも、僕だいぶ前から、だから、7、8年前から 一回その治療を受けたりしてたので、こういうお話をすることで誰かのお役に立てるかなと思ったので、ちょっとそういう意味でもこの番組がお役に立てると嬉しいなと思います。ね、実際やった人の経験談とかって聞けた方がね、ありがたいかなと思いますので。Reilly, I want to move on to the next one. So can I have another one?
Sure.
Yeah, wait a second, please.
後半に続く